Another edition of the Wisdom of Solomon. Another gem from the mind of Solomon. Tonight, Jews in the news.
Want to talk? So let's talk. Here. Talk. You want to talk? You gotta talk. You need to talk. News talk.
I talk, you talk to Solomon. I talk, you talk to Solomon. Yeah, let's talk to Solomon. Talk to Solomon.
You gotta talk. You want to talk.
When I was growing up, many years ago, I used to hear the stories of how Jews were attacked and beaten and sometimes killed by people, young people, who believed that Jews killed Christian children to get their blood to make matzo balls or something. It was an old story. It never had any merit, but it was used by people who were stupid or people who were anti-Semitic, and those two cross quite often. Well, it just happened again. Listen to this. The Israeli and Swedish embassies responded furiously to a Swedish newspaper article that suggested that Israeli troops killed Palestinians in order to harvest their organs. And it showed a picture of a dead Palestinian who had stitches the entire length of his body. Now, the fact is, the person who wrote the story, let me quote this genius. The story was written by Daniel Seaman. No, I'm sorry, the story was written by, I can't find his name, Donald Bostrom. He based the story on accounts from who? Palestinians in the West Bank and Gaza, whom he identified only by their first names. Here's what he said. It concerns me to the extent that I want it to be investigated. That's true, but whether it's true or not, I have no idea. I don't have a clue. I beg your pardon? You wrote a story making these accusations and you don't have a clue? You have no idea? Someone on the other side told you bad things about someone on the other side, and that's the basis for a story? Yes, yes, and yes. That's the way it's done by the left. That's the way it's done by those who are anti-God or anti-Jew or anti-American or anti-normalcy or anti-life. They don't have to be bothered with the facts. They're not constrained by the rules. Only we are. Only we are. If you're a Palestinian and you're dead, the odds are 100 to 1 you were killed by another Palestinian. That's fact. Now, the fact that this man was stitched back up after an autopsy was done, that's standard operating procedure for almost every country in the world. That if someone dies an abnormal death, and certainly being shot for whatever reason is an abnormal death, they do an autopsy. They don't steal the organs. I'll tell you something else. Now, don't take this the wrong way if you're a Palestinian. Most organs in most people who are involved in war, who are involved in illicit activities, are not usable for other people. That's simply the fact. Why is it you think that we don't take the organs of people who are executed in prisons? Because 99.9% of them aren't usable for many reasons. It's almost always a young person or a relatively young person who dies unexpectedly and has been a quote-unquote clean living person that can help. They don't tell you how many times a person who's willing to donate organs, or their family, and they find out because the people took medication, because they did drugs, because they smoked too much, their organs aren't usable. You ever heard the old expression, garbage in, garbage out? It's for all of us the same way. And very few of us are in mint condition, except me, of course. Now, the Obama administration, which is the most anti-Semitic administration we've ever had in the United States of America, this wannabe Muslim, this wannabe leader, this wannabe intellect, has instructed that the Israelis that has stated, now listen to this, I'm going to read this to you because I don't want to misquote God. The Egyptian official said Obama stressed the U.S. is applying, quote, huge pressure for Israel to agree to a complete freeze of Jewish construction in the strategic West Bank and Eastern Jerusalem. He said the U.S. is demanding a 2-year freeze, while Prime Minister Begin is only agreeing to 6 months. Now, they want to start with what was offered by the former Prime Minister, whose name was A-Hole, who offered to give up 95% of all of the territory. 95%, and the Palestinians said no, and they want to use that as a starting point and negotiate more from there. Here's my recommendation to Benjamin Netanyahu, who I admire and who I've talked to on a couple of occasions. Nuke them all and let God sort it out. And don't forget, wear gloves. Jews in the news.